retelling of the Great Adventure.
Okay.
Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, Elise, the cheetah, sprinted down the path, confident in the knowledge that she was the fastest of the animals. Suddenly, she bounded onto a large rock on her left and into a jackberry tree across the path to her right. She found her favorite branch high above the path below and lay down lazily, waiting for lunch to pass below her.
Good morning, Miss Elise,
Came a voice from above. Startled, Elise growled and bared her teeth.
Calm down. I may be large and slow, but I am tall and smart and see everything. Last night, long after you went to bed, I heard the monkeys chattering noisily about the great adventure to come. They said that we must all be prepared and that the time of the adventure was near. Between us, we are fast and smart and cunning, of course. I am tall, which can be an advantage at times. I was thinking that together, you and I make the perfect pair to work together to prepare for the great adventure and beat our other cousins to the prize.
Elise smiled at the prospect of beating her cousins to the prize, growled her approval, leaped down from the tree, and looked up to her new teammate.
Let's begin.
The unlikely partners wandered the forest in search of clues to find the great prize that would prepare them to meet the struggles of the great adventure. They crossed the Sand River to the grasslands of the savannah. They walked and they wandered and walked until they wandered back to the same jackberry tree.
This is silly, and it's all your fault.
Greta was hearing none of it and screamed back.
It is not my fault. It's your fault. You're the one who pranced off into the forest without so much as a thought. You never listened to me.
Elise, older but wiser, said.
No wiser.
Oh, older but no wiser, said.
Well, we are getting nowhere. We need a plan. Let's camp out here for a few minutes and then come up with a plan.
Fine, but keep in mind the cousins aren't resting.
As Elise tried to figure out what to do next, Greta wandered off into the forest in a huff. She was always waiting on Elise. The majestic king of the jungle, Ethan, rose slowly from his afternoon nap and gazed out the vast grasslands before him. Off into this distance through the tall grass, a lone gazelle grazed undisturbed.
Dinner! Thought Ethan.
Thought Ethan as he crept down low to the ground and headed straight for the helpless gazelle. 100 yards, 50 yards, 10 yards, and still the gazelle grazed, seemingly unaware of the danger that was approaching the lion represented. Then, without warning, the great lion struck. Breaking into full stride, Ethan leaped into the air to pounce upon his unwittingly prey. The gazelle broke left and darted for the small trees at the edge of the grasslands. Ethan missed and collapsed into a heap in the tall grass. With his great mane rumpled and his pride somewhat tarnished, he rose slowly to the sound of laughter from the bushes nearby.
Who is it that would laugh at the great king of the jungle?
He roared in his best regal voice.
You may be the king of the jungle, but you are clearly old and slow. To hunt the gazelle, you must be smarter, craftier, and more cunning than your prey. Watch and learn.
The youngster crept back into the underbrush and headed upland towards the now nervous gazelle. Ethan lost the young leopard in the deep brush next to the grass. Far ahead, the gazelle grazed cautiously near the base of the large buffalo thorn tree. Suddenly, the young leopard appeared at the edge of the bush, crouched low to the ground, clearly preparing to make his own leap on the as yet unknowing gazelle. With a burst of blinding speed, the leopard jumped. This time the gazelle broke right just inches before it was to become dinner. Luke, concentrating on the beauty of his leap and the expert hunting technique he was displaying to the king of the jungle, didn't see the gazelle's quick move and crashed unceremoniously into the buffalo thorn tree. Ethan, still king...
That's a jackal. That's a hyena.
Ethan, still king of the jungle, roared with laughter and helped the young cat into his feet.
Maybe we should work together to find dinner.
Good idea.
Just as the two new friends were about to set out on their hunt, a lowly dung beetle yelled, "Excuse me, you almost walked on me."
Well, excuse me.
Are you two off to prepare for the great adventure? You know the time is coming.
Great adventure. Great adventure.
Ethan, with the wisdom of age, knew immediately that to prepare for the great adventure, they needed to find the prize.
Well, that certainly changes things, Luke. The other cousins will be searching for the prize, and we need to find it for them.
follow me,
ordered the king, and the two set off on the search. At the edge of the watering hole, the great elephant, leader of the herd, rolled lazily in the mud to cool off from the afternoon sun. He rose slowly to his full height and started to spray himself off with his long trunk. Of all the animals, he was proud to be the only one who carried a shower with him at all times.
Hey, stop that! You're splashing me.
She had wandered into the water hole just as Dylan was beginning his bath. While Dylan was the largest of the animals in the land, Grace often thought of herself as the most unique. With her neat black and white stripes, she certainly drew more attention than the massive gray elephant beside her now. Out of courtesy to the young lady, Dylan delayed his shower and turned to speak with her.
So, Miss Grace, are you having a fine afternoon?
Well, to tell you the truth, I am concerned. Yesterday, in the same spot, a little bird landed on my back, told me that he had heard the monkeys talking about the great adventure and how everybody must be prepared.
Having known the little chatterbox zebra for years, Dylan decided to play into her hand and ask,
So why are you concerned, little one?
Grace, of course, had the answer. Grace always has the answer.
Well, certainly, you of all people should know that in order to be prepared, I need to find a prize, and I have no idea where to start looking.
Dylan was the leader of the herd, not only because he was the largest elephant, but also because Dylan never, ever forgot anything. He knew that the great adventure was coming, and he knew that finding the prize was necessary. He also remembered his mother telling him years ago that the great adventure would be wonderful, and that to be prepared, you must search in the forest for the prize.
Well, little one.
Dylan always called her little one and made Grace very, very mad.
I do know something about the prize, and I'm pretty sure that the other cousins will be searching for it too. Perhaps we should search for it together.
Grace simply smiled. That, of course, was what she wanted all along. Grace might be short and pretty with her black and white stripes, but she was also cunning like a fox. Raising a great hoof in Grace's direction, Dylan said,
Step back, little one, and let me finish my shower, and then we'll set off into the forest and search of the prize.
Grace fumed, but stepped back to let the great elephant finish.
Okay, I am ready!
ready for what?
Asked Elise, still confused, still focused on finding a plan.
I am ready for any adventure.
Oh no, not again!
Spying the 3 large suitcases Greta was dragging behind her,
What on earth do you have in there?
Elise said, clearly frustrated with the young giraffe.
Everything! Oh. I packed my closet and everything from yours that I thought I might grow into. Hey, I have everything a young giraffe might need for a great adventure. Now we don't need to find the prize. I've got it all.
Go back and put all that stuff away. You can't have what we need because you don't know what we need. We still need to find the prize, and I think I know where to get some help. You may think you're smart, but in this case, I'm older and wiser. I'll wait here while you unpack, and hurry if you want to beat the cousins.
Once again, the 2 set off. They went back across the grasslands, back across the sand river, but then Elise turned abruptly into the dark forest,
This time, I have a plan.
leading the giraffe into the darkness of the dense forest. Luke simply went off. He sometimes does this, and we don't know why.
Do you think it's a big prize? I mean, it could be a big prize. It might be a small prize, too. Unless we find it, we won't know, but it could be a big prize. I think we'll find it first. We should, because we're smart and crafty and fast. Well, at least I am fast. You're not so fast. You proved that with the gazelle. Greta's smarter and Elise is fast. Do you think Greta and Elise will find it first? They could, you know. I don't think so, though. I think we will find it first. We should find it first. I don't know, though. Dylan's big and he can see things we can't. Dylan remembers everything. How do you think he remembers things? I can't remember things like Dylan. Can you do that? Can you remember things like Dylan? Grace is sneaky. She chatters a lot, but I watch her and she's always trying to work a deal. You know what I mean? Grace is nice and all, but we always seem to end up doing what Grace wants, even when we don't want to. Grace is sneaky and Grace is a chatterbox, but I think Grace is smart and knows exactly what she wants. So Grace and Dylan might get to the prize before us. Grace always gets what she wants. They might even find the prize before Elise and Greta. That would make us last. And I don't want to be last. I hate last. Don't you hate last? What do you think, Ethan?
Yep.
Shut up!
You're driving me crazy to shut up or I'll have you for dinner! The boys continued to wander in the grassland for hours, but didn't find a clue as to where the prize might be, nor did they know any more about the great adventure. As a last resort, Ethan headed into the dark forest. It was dangerous, but it might be their only chance to beat the cousins to the prize. As Dylan and Grace wandered the grasslands, the conversation was very one-sided, as you might expect.
What's the prize? Where's the prize? What do you think is looking for the prize? Who told you about the great adventure? What is the great adventure? When does it start? How long is it? Where will we have to go on the adventure? Is the adventure here?
It went on and on. Dylan knew it was coming. He just quietly marched ahead and ignored Grace, as he always did when she got like this. Dylan had a plan. He wouldn't share it with Grace, but he had a plan. Dylan's wise mother had told him years before about the great adventure, and Dylan never forgot. Dylan never forgot anything, which only sometimes was good. Yes, Dylan had a plan, which he wouldn't share with Chatty Grace, but he had a plan. Mother had said that the great adventure was important. She sat him down in a quiet place and explained all the things that you must have in order to be ready for the great adventure. The adventure was far, far away, and the trip would be difficult, so it was important that you be prepared. She explained to him that while the prize that everyone would seek was important to the adventure, that it still wasn't enough to be prepared. Most importantly, she told him not where to find the prize, but who might be most helpful in the quest of the prize. As Dylan led Grace into the dark forest, he said,
Follow me.
Although Grace didn't like the idea of going into the dark forest, she followed Dylan because she knew that Dylan had a plan. Once Ethan and the young leopard cleared the dense underbrush and stepped into the dark forest, the mood changed. The normally playful and noisy leopard became silent and sullen. With his head down and his tail between his legs, Luke followed the great lion closely and quietly. He remembered his mother's warning, never play in the dark forest. In another part of the forest, Dylan led the way for the beautiful young zebra. Much like Luke, Grace was silent. There would be no chatter until they left the dark forest, if they ever got out at all. Grace was well aware that her magnificent white stripes stood out in the forest, and she shook visibly with fear. Elise also shook with fear. As the oldest of the cousins, she knew all too well what it meant to venture into the dark forest. This wasn't her first trip here, and the last one did not go well. Greta was out of her element, and it showed. She was not accustomed working her way around all of the tall trees and the dense brush of the forest. She understood that if danger appeared, she had nowhere to go. She was trapped. There was many paths into the dark forest, but they all led to the same place. Deep within the center of the forest was a large clearing. Only here did the sun shine bright. As the three groups of cousins approached the sunlight, the youngsters smiled. However, the older cousins knew better, and they grew more apprehensive. Within the clearing was the largest, oldest
Baobab.
What?
Baobab.
Say it again.
Billabong.
Billabong tree. Any of them have ever seen. It was 20 feet across, and its trunk was knotted and crooked. High up in that crooked trunk was a bright spot of red. This was the reason they were here. This was the only reason to venture into the dark forest. Each of the groups entered the clearing at about the same time. Strangely, none of the older members seemed surprised to see the other groups. It wasn't that great minds think alike. They each knew that there was only one place to get the help to find the prize, and that was from the ancient troll who lived in the great baobab tree in the center of the dark forest. Ever since the old troll had turned 40, the story was that he had become even more difficult and grumpy. At the moment, that wasn't a concern because the old troll was napping high up in the trunk of the tree. However, if they were ever going to find the prize and be ready for the great adventure, someone had to wake the grumpy troll and ask the question. Silently, the cousins gathered together at one edge of the clearing. Ethan, the brave lion said,
You do it, Dylan. You're the largest of the cousins.
Oh no, you don't. You do it. You're the king of the jungle.
Each of the younger cousins, Luke, Greta, Grace, took one step back, trying to disappear into the underbrush. Finally, Elise, the oldest of the cousins, stepped forward.
I'll do it. I've woken the cranky old troll before, and I can do it again.
Elise crept forward cautiously. This was no time for bravado, and she knew from experience that this could go terribly wrong at any moment.
Good morning, Mr. Troll. I hope you had a good night's sleep.
The troll opened his red eyes and stared down at the little cheetah below.
I had a terrible night's sleep. Why are you interrupting it now, little one?
Elise knew she had to stay calm.
Well, Mr. Troll, my cousins and I have heard that a great adventure is needed, and we all want to be prepared. We thought you might help us find the prize that will get us ready for the great adventure. After all, you are the smartest person in the land.
Elise said with a smile. It never hurt to butter up old troll.
Alright, of course. I am the smartest. I can't tell you where the prize is, but I can give you a hint.
That's really all we need.
Well, in that case, you will find the prize. You'll find the prize behind the...
Is he dying?
Oh, he's CPR.
No, he's just
Sit
pooping.
behind the old fort next to the stone wall.
Greta, Luke, and Grace looked confused, but the three older cousins laughed and raced down the closest path out of the forest. The youngsters raced to catch up cautiously to avoid the grumpy troll. Who would be the first to find the prize?
Now all of the animals attack the troll and take back the jungle.
Great story!
Yay.